Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, and welcome to Lactic Acid. I'm your host, Dominique Smith. Today, we have the living legend that is on this show. I'm excited. I grew up watching him. I know you guys grew up watching him. Him and John Buccigross, aka Bucci Man, singing Sugar Woo Woo Woo. Shout out to my man Jeffrey Osborne there. He is none other than the legend that is Mr. John Anderson. John, appreciate you coming on the show, man. How you doing?
You're making me feel old. Between having dinner with a bunch of interns the other night, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm like old buildings. I have become respectable and somewhat endowed with wisdom, which I don't know that I have either of those, but I'm 57. I have gray hair. So I guess I know a thing or two. I've been around the block.
You are like the younger version of Robert De Niro in The Intern. So you are and look at him. He changed the world. Now, granted, he was like 130 in that movie,
right?
But he changed the world. You're only 57. That means
change the world though if I'm not on FaceTime or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter?
I think it's a great thing. Yes, you can.
Okay,
because it makes people do things that they should be doing, like don't send a text message, get on the phone and call somebody. My mom taught me this. I'm still big on this, writing notes. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but hey, I have all the notes that people rend me, and it's different than getting it from a text message. So I think you should stay
good.
A social media nonchalant person. Just stay away from it. It's awful.
Good. So and I spent a ton of time writing notes. So just so you know,
hey, listen,
we're in the same ballpark.
I got to ask you this question. You're from the Midwest, and I've been asking people this question. The best answer I got was from our mutual friend Kerry Tollefson. Be sure to check out that episode. But let's just say Ben and Jerry came to you, say, John, listen, we have been watching you for years. You are an icon. You are just a whole movement. Forget the icon. You are the living legend that is. You put ESPN on your back, and we want to honor you. We are going to give you a chance to be a part of a celebratory promotion. The promotion will include you picking 2 different ice cream flavors and a title for the promotion. What would the 2 ice cream flavors be, and what would the name of the promotion be called?
Let's see. Okay, so does it have to be Ben and Jerry flavors?
It could be any flavor you want to.
Okay. I'm trying to think, because I had a great newsman in Tulsa, a fellow by the name of Clayton Vaughn, who had an off the charts Q rating, which if anybody knows media, right? Q just says that's how recognizable you are. It does not determine whether people like you or do not like you. It just means, do they recognize you? He had a huge Q rating. And he said to me one time, he goes, listen, nobody likes vanilla. And he was not trying to purposely be, he just was like, listen,
but sometimes
if you do it your way, you're going to suffer some slings and arrows, and people will like you and some won't, but just be who you are is his point. Nobody likes just this homogenous, don't be vanilla. Vanilla ice cream's fine. But I would tell you this, I probably even would make it Ben and Jerry, because I would totally have Cherry Garcia and Chunky Monkey. I would eat those 2 things. And then given my Midwestern roots, the celebration would be, as we do sort of in my podcast, you see here, it would be John, Wisconsin.
John, Wisconsin.
Yes.
And the theme
instead of on Wisconsin, we're going to have John, Wisconsin. Even though right now I'm in Connecticut, which is kind of non-Wisconsin, but we're going to have John, Wisconsin.
And when you open the freezer, the fireworks go off, and then jump around takes place.
We will, but you ever notice that? But they always cut it off before the second verse starts, and I'll just leave it at that for those that know the song and listen to deeper into it, because I don't think you can play the John McEnroe verse in a stadium anymore and get away with it.
So on YouTube, they have like over the years they have, and so I know the song. I know it is signing out. And I sit there, and they'll jump around.
Yep.
and they cut it. And before he says, I'm smacking,
Right.
1st and 10, Wisconsin.
Exactly. I'm like John McEnroe, IB. And then he's like, yeah, so we got to get out before that burst comes.
Yes. If you are a little kid, just make sure you listen to Jesus Loves Me, Jesus Messiah, something that glorifies the Lord and not about jump around. But it's one of the best traditions in college football.
It's
so
fantastic, right? Awesome.
I have mad respect. Question: Culver's, yay or nay?
I'm in. In fact, when you said ice cream, like, can I go? I might go. I might go frozen custard, but yeah, I'm totally in with them. And while I enjoy their Butterburger, if I go by, I prefer, there's a place in Green Bay, my hometown. There's Kroll's, Kroll, apostrophe S, Kroll's. There's one on the east side and the west side. Green Bay is cut in half by the Fox River. So I grew up hard on the west side.
Hard on the west side?
Exactly.
I love it.
So I go Kroll's West, which is just across, literally across the street from Lambeau Field. And then that's where I would go for the Butterburger. But I'm totally down with Culver's. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Listen, this is a conversation I have with Kerry, and I agree with. We have a Culver's down here. I'm in Orlando, so we have a Culver's down here in Orlando.
Right.
We have a couple, actually. When I first tried it, it was like the best thing. Now, the smash burgers I'm used to because of Steak and Shake.
Sure.
But I don't know what it was, but the burgers were legit. The custards, there's a couple flavors that I love.
Yeah.
But they have a bit of an aftertaste to it. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's, like I said, there's a couple, but
the whole place is not for the lactose intolerant. Let's just say that, man. You gotta have your game, right? You don't want to be vegan and you don't want to be lactose intolerant. But then you can get in there and get down.
Listen, let me tell you something. My go-to is the 3-patty Butterburger with some ketchup, some pickles, some good old on Wisconsin cheese. Yep. I don't know what cow that comes from, but oh my goodness, that is the best cheese I've ever had. And
it's like the LeBron James of cheese.
It is. Like, literally, I think it comes from the dairy in Flavortown, USA, where Guy Fieri is the mayor. That's the kind of cheese that it comes from. That's where it originates. And a nice side of cheese curds.
So this is the one place where I probably fall down in my Wisconsin patriotism, is that I'm not a big cheese curd guy.
Really?
Well, I say to me, it's unfinished cheese, right? It's not quite there. It's not, I like the cheese to be finished. I don't need it in the curd stage. I want it now, put it together, tie it and age it. So the curd, and it's just kind of squeaky in there. And I'm not totally down with it.
Okay, well,
so
cheese curds. Speaking of LeBron, what you need to do is you need to strive for greatness. Keep on going.
Here you go.
Man, so John and I, we have a few things in common. So we're going to be talking about everything this episode. We will get to the track and field aspect and the journalism aspect and all that fun crap. And we're definitely going to get a chance to know you outside of the profession. But John and I, we have something in common. We love the Big Ten. His team is on Wisconsin. My team is the Ohio State University, which they play each other this year.
Okay, good.
I'll wager you. Loser has to donate to the winner's charity.
Okay, well, but then I'm gonna need points, because I think right now Ohio State's a better team. So we're gonna have to put something in there where it is, because if it's just straight up right now, I'm not sure I think Wisconsin is there yet. We still have not proved, and going on how many years now, that we have a quarterback that can make a difference. We have had the same quarterback for 20 years. One interruption was Russell Wilson for 1 year. Oh, by the way, who couldn't beat Ohio State. Because that team was great. But other than that, to me, you can say that about Mertz. You can say that about was it the guy that went off and spent
Jack Cohen?
Cohn or Bollinger or just they're all the same guy. They're all the same guy.
Okay, well, maybe you guys need a new QB coach.
Listen, that's what the Chris are famous for. I don't know. They brought this kid in. He's supposed to be all right, and he tore them all up that first game and decided, I don't know that he's got 5 touchdown passes total since. So
he was like 12 or something like that.
He was ridiculous. So, but yeah, I'll go in there, but I'm going to need a touchdown.
Ohio State -10.
I'll settle for 7.
Okay, 7. I'll do that.
All right, I'm in.
We'll do the charity of choice. We will come back to that. But one thing that we also have in common is that we know the pain. And I'm so glad that I can share this and have this conversation with somebody else.
This is not Ohio State football, because you have no pain. If you think you have pain as Ohio State football, you don't know. Then you're living in a fantasy world.
Just listen to what I'm about to say.
Okay.
First of all, did you not see that game back in November, at the end of November?
Which one?
Against the team up north.
The team. Okay, so you mean when
Michigan?
Michigan. 10 and no, I know about the school up north. You mean we'd already had 10 wins?
But you're not supposed to lose to them.
But this is your worst.
No, it's not my worst. What I'm about to tell you.
Call me when you get a 5th down, okay, and we'll talk.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. We know what it's like to lose to the #1 team in college football in early November and October. Why is Purdue so good in that 3-week time span?
Well, Purdue was operating. Listen, when they took you down, that team was so emotionally up because of the youngster. Yeah. Why is his name? Yeah, that youngster, his name escapes me, and I apologize. That they were all up in that, and so that's that. Plus, and I'll be honest, I can't. This is going to get me really mad. So I had a great buddy who is he's a New Jersey guy, but he was in Wisconsin for 4 years when we were in high school. So his window was like our window. And then he lived in Detroit for the longest time. He's Go Blue, but he's been in Columbus like the last 10 or 12 years, and he's totally in now on the Buckeyes, and it drives me nuts. And he sent his kid there, and he's like you. He's trying to tell me how hard life is on occasion when you only win by 30, or that, oh my gosh, you lost once to Michigan. How long?
Listen, don't compare me to.
Listen, dude, you weren't even alive for John Cooper. Your life is great.
I was alive for John Cooper.
Well, then 2-10-1 is not really good against those people. But since then, we had a guy on our assignment desk, Alan Witt, who's a great Buckeye, and worked for, I think he worked before he came and worked on our assignment desk at ESPN, both for, I think it was the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Might have been the Inquirer in Cincinnati, but I believe it was Cleveland Plain Dealer. And he was so into him. So every once in a while, just when I decided I had enough of him, I'd sing to the tune of O Tannenbaum, O Christmas Tree. I'd sing 2-10-1 to him.
2-10-1, 2-10-1. John Cooper went 2-10-1.
Right. Oh, we can't pass. Oh, we can't run. 2-10-1, 2-10-1. So it fits in really great there for John. But anyway, since you guys have not had any. But go ahead, tell me about the adversity you faced in Columbus.
Listen, that's my only thing that is just like, oh, that stinks. Listen, there are fans that. You lose by 35, and we're calling for Ryan Day's job. So I'm just saying. But
I mean, you lost to Oregon at home. I'm surprised the guy made it to the next week.
Oh, there were people calling for his job. I'm not lying about that.
It's absurd. And as you know, I've had my run-ins with Urban Meyer's family, which I feel bad about. So.
Yeah, let's just leave it there. But
well, I had to call the man, and I had to have a discussion while I was in Disneyland with my daughter.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But I think we got it straightened out. I just know his family has yet to, Shelley and the girls have yet to forgive me, but I noticed she's not on Twitter anymore because she's decided it's a mean place and people are not nice there. And I thought, wow, okay. Yeah. Well, you would know that because you guys helped bury me one time, but oh, well.
Oh my God. Okay. Well,
what do we got next? Let's move on.
Yes. If that Purdue loss, okay, Well, we're going to move past Purdue. We just hope that they don't do.
I also got in
Insurgents.
trouble once when I also got in trouble on ESPN. It's one of the few times I ever got called into the office. And the guy said, well, admittedly, it's a clever line, but it's not what we were looking for. But it was when Maurice Claret left the program. And I said, well, he is a true Buckeye because I feel like he's a poisonous nut. And
oh, boy.
So, now that was a long 20 years ago. And I just, a very nice man, Vince Doria, who ran our newsroom for many years, came from the Boston Globe. And he just decided, like you said, that was probably, it's funny and it's clever, but it was not the right spot for it. So, and I'm like, you're right. I will nod in agreement, and I will do better next time.
You are a Michigan fan and a Wisconsin fan body with that.
Well, I'm a Missouri fan first and foremost for my alma mater, but I grew up hard on the Badgers, and that was great. And I probably, if push came to shove, I'd probably side with the folks up north.
And yeah, of course, it's okay. And I understand the alma mater. You went to Missouri, I went to UCF. Well, one thing that UCF and Ohio State has in common that your teams don't is that we're the national champions. So
self-proclaimed or otherwise, it all counts. You got a banner.
Listen,
parade,
we have a banner, and they have rings and
awesome.
all the go Knights, charge on. So give a shout out to the alma mater there. But you've got a busy summer, man. You have what's that song, that commercial? I traveled everywhere on this here land. That's you. Going out to the great state of Oregon, catching some track and field action. Man, what's it been like this summer? Just recapping the World Championships. What was it like from your experience, from your vantage point?
I've spent enough time in Oregon. I'm gonna have to pay taxes because I was out there for a week for the NCAA championships too. Yes. So I spent a week there in June and 2 weeks there in July. And
oh boy,
I don't think I have to go back this month, which is okay. Got to go to Arkansas, take my son and daughter back to school there.
Big Suey.
Exactly. Got a lot of WPS in my house. So both those they're great because like I love the NCAA track meet as well. National championship is unbelievable. You see how many of those, and then you go to Worlds, and there were not only a few kids who were there having run this year collegiately, like Talitha Diggs at Florida was still there, or Anna Hall, or Britton Wilson, who ran terrific in the 400 hurdles. So there were a lot of those kids that somehow managed to stretch their season amazingly, even though he didn't run great. Brandon Miller at Texas A&M, a bunch of those guys. So I love that meet because it's a great meet. It is unbelievable talent. And then all those people literally show up, bam, instantly. People are so into the college football and the draft because they're like, we wait till that draft because now I'm going to see my guy. I'm going to see Trevor Lawrence, boom, and I'm going to see him with the Jags, right? But then it struggles because sometimes he's on a bad team. He doesn't look like Trevor Lawrence. Like track people, like 9.9 is 9.9. Yep. In college or in pro, 9.9 is 9.9. So I can take 9.9, I can take Christian Coleman and I can put him right here and go. I could take Grant Holloway and finish his season. And even though he got beat at the Nationals when he won his first first world championship, but I can take that guy and he'll be there. And so it's great. And so not only was the current crop there, but over the last decade, so many of these people, I call them kids only because A, I'm older, but B, they were in college when I first met them, right? And so I see these kids and so many of them that I covered that run, and not just for the U.S. They're great U.S. people when you talk about Grant Holloway, or I guess he's technically Swedish, but there's Mondo. Or a Thingmo or Tyra Gittins. So, to know all those people. So you see that meet that you're there in June for, and it's terrific. And then you go see July, and now it's the World Championships, which is just a whole bunch of different great, right? Instead of here's two people that might run 9.9, here's 17 of them that can, or 15, and, only 8 are going to make the finals. So it was neat for the first time, to be there and see that. I'm old enough that I remember when the first World Championships happened in 1983 in Helsinki, and I can remember watching that I had just finished my senior year in high school, and just watching in amazement, first off, they had this world championship, but all those people that were so good and so amazing. And that just further kind of lit my fire for the sport. So to actually go see it was phenomenal. And then sort of to contrast it, if I could, to see it with people and fans there, because I was in Tokyo where there weren't fans, and covering that, which was really just crazy, to watch some of those performances. You watch the 400 hurdle race with Varholm and DeSantos and our guy Rai Benjamin, and watch everybody just destroy the world record, and everybody's setting PRs and national records. But there's just a smattering of clapping, like,
Yeah.
you're up 30 rows calling it, and you're screaming, and you're like, I bet they can hear me. So this time, right, when Sid's coming down and you see her, and she, she's going to just bust the world record, mine like literally assaulted it.
Oh my gosh.
But now the place is exploding. And so that was amazing too. So to me, it's like every major national competition, world, global competition you have. At some point, somebody complains about something. The buses don't run on time. The media booth room is too small, or the dorm rooms are terrible. There's always a complaint about something.
Yeah.
And then the athletes come out and they perform, and they're so good that you go, what a great championship. It's unbelievable. And they cover up all the warts that might be there.
It's crazy. So listen, you're not on social media, but the complaint now, which was a visible concern, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I said, I hope that this is not the trend headed into the world championships. What was the crowd size?
Yep.
Because it wasn't, and you have so many events out there. In my opinion, it was like, okay, maybe that's too many. And it's not because of the venue.
I think it was.
It's hard to get it working. It's hard to get, specifically in Eugene, because it's such a small town and it's a track town.
And its flights into Portland got to be just unreasonable. But I think the one that suffered the most was the U.S. National Championships.
Yeah.
Pre was okay. The NCAA comes with a built-in kind of fan base. Mom, dad, aunts and uncles are going to be there. There's enough athletes and support people that even with that, it kind of looks sort of filled.
Yeah.
I think USA suffered. And I thought for the most part, every once in a while, on the backstretch, because the sun was so hot beating there, you didn't have quite as many folks, but I thought it was okay. They kind of got lucky in that originally, you had to have 32.5. That was the build. The bid, you had to have 32,500 seats, and they had the temporary to do that. And then when they put in the large experience board that was literally ate up all of that last bend between the curves on 3 and 4. So they probably had like 19,000 seats, which was enough. So it looked fairly full. If it had been that many people in 32, it would have looked drastic and bad. But, tough time, traveling still hard. It was cost prohibitive. You had 4 straight meets there. I do still think there's some COVID lag of people looking to wait and get out. But by and large, I thought it was great. I think to sell out every night would not have been true. But I thought it was reasonably well attended.
What was your favorite, or one of your favorite moments? Sid, here's the thing. I don't know what to say. I still don't know what to say. I tried to do a show, and it was just like I was talking and my volume was on mute and nobody could hear me because I just didn't. I thought she would. Yeah, I'm thinking 51:25, 51:09.
Yeah.
But the fact that her time could have been a qualifier for a relay spot at USA's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a place that she would have gotten.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sid is, and she's only 22, which is just.
So she's amazing. Yeah. And I tell this to everybody too, because I saw her at Penn Relays, and I know her just like this big from the Bowerman, enough that like, if I see her, I can say, hello, Sydney. And she'll say, and then we move on. She's a quieter person, right? Like, so I don't pretend to know her great, other than like I would write. But I saw her at Penn, And so she nodded and she got done afterwards. And I said, oh, by the way, congratulations. I hadn't seen her since she got engaged. Well, I didn't realize she was getting married the next week, literally.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen her wedding pictures?
Yeah. Yes.
So here's what I tell
incredible.
people. I'd marry either one of those people. I don't care. Have a draft. Like, it's the best looking couple ever. Right. So if somebody said, I'm gonna marry Sid, I'm like, fine, I'll take the groom. Or if somebody said, I'm gonna take you, I'm like, I'm in. I don't care. Like, they're just like, it's the best looking two people I've ever seen in my life.
It was like the Kentucky Derby met the Super Bowl.
Right. And I'm like I said, so I did. I'm like, I don't care. Just you can have first pick. I'll just take what's ever left over. It's great. So she was amazing. I still don't know. Like, we tend to go Beeman-esque, right? And it's not quite there. Like, Beeman skipped an entire foot, right? So it's not quite there, but it's close. The other thing about Beeman-esque is nobody saw it coming. Like, he was good and he was supposed to be favored. You know, he was up there. He was favored with Ralph Boston and everything. But I'm not sure anybody thought he was, 2 feet better than everybody else. Like, people, Sid was going to be that good. And it was just, like you said, you thought maybe it could be this world record. People didn't see the Beeman record coming, and then let alone by that. So I don't quite go Beeman-esque, but it was still shockingly low, just like Barholm was at Tokyo. Like, it was shockingly low. But my favorite part is purely selfish, in that part of my role there for the international broadcast crew was I just did individual field events. So they had the integrated feed where everybody saw all the races, and then they dip into the field event here and there. But I would just do the field event. So I was just, one day I just did the men's high jump, which was awesome because I'd never seen Barshim in person. And then one day I had the women's hammer throw, which was, terrific.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those where, like, I kind of have gotten to know Cameron Rogers a little from Cal, and there she is throwing for, and I did the javelin. So there's Carol Winger on her last throw, and she, right.
Amazing. That was awesome.
So the last event I have is I have the men's pole.
Man,
we have Mondo, and now he takes the first attempt at the world record, and he gets up off the ground and he doesn't make it, but but now he sits it out, and because he's got 5 minutes, and because they're starting the last relay, he sits it out. So now both 4x4s are done, and it's just him. He's the last athlete in the competition. It's the last event. It's the last day. And so to do that and be able to call that was phenomenal, which is great. And I texted him later. I said, dude, one of these days you're going to come down with snow on you, because he's just at some point he's just going to be that high. So it was neat because, like I said, because I kind of know that kid a little bit from his year in college, and I had prepped really hard. It got thrown at me late, so I called Joe Dial. I don't know if anybody knows Joe. Joe used to have the world record. Joe's a great Oklahoma. He's an Oklahoma State legend. He was a pole vault legend. Like I said, he's had the world record a couple of times back when it was about 1904, not 1904, which is how far it seems like it was back then. And he coached at Oral Roberts University for many, many years, and he's terrific. So he coached me up, and then he and Mondo's dad were great friends. So I got some insight there, but to be there to call the last guy and the last event and the last run, and the dude decides to go 6:21 was, that was pretty good stuff.
Just watching that, like, it was just a match. That was one of those moments where almost with Sid, I just still don't know what to say, because
right,
it was like the whole world was looking at him, and it was like, we're done. No, we're not done. We have one more.
Yeah.
And he just
crushed it. The thing with he and Sid, they both made it look shockingly easy. Like, he cleared that, and you're like, wow, he's okay. So now we know the world record can be 6:30, because he had that. He just buried it. It wasn't even close. And just like Sid, where the clock probably is a little less cooperative with her, but she came off, and you're like, this is the best field in the world. You shouldn't be a full hurdle in front of everybody. You're not back in high school in New Jersey where you beat everybody by a thing, or even the NCAA for 1 year where you beat everybody. Like, she beat everybody by like a full hurdle. And that just isn't, that's not right. You know, no,
It
not in
really
things
isn't.
not in things that are measured and determined by hundreds, you know.
And then
You're
she
not supposed to be
says,
2 seconds better than everybody in the event.
and then she says, I feel like we could have gone faster. It's like, what? So,
yeah. Amazing people.
What made you, now you have honestly brought track and field to a new generation from an ESPN standpoint. I credit you for that, because the network is not as big on track and field as clearly as NBC. But the one person that we know will be on an ESPN broadcast is John Anderson. Talk to me a little bit. Well, yeah, we need you, man. Yeah. So just talk to me about why it was important for you to be on the front end of the worldwide leader in sports, really digging in track and field when it comes to
and
coverage.
I'll tell you what's really strange too, and I tell this to people and they're like, wait, because I love the sport and I would like to see it grow, and I would like to see it assume a greater position on ESPN, because I think it's phenomenal, and when we show it, it's amazing because it still rates and people watch. But sometimes I feel like I can do more good if I'm in studio than if I'm at the NCAA meet or if I am at the World Championships, because I've been there long enough. You know, I have some pull, and so I can make sure things get in the show. I can kind of leverage some things. So like the big example of that was one time I was not at the I was not at the Texas Relays, and I get this note from Jill Montgomery and Dwight Stones both, and they're like, Tara Davis just jumped 7 meters. Crazy, you know, first collegian to do that. And so I can say to our guy, hey, you know, whether it's a top player or whatever, we need to get this in, and then it's in. When I'm not there, Sid McLaughlin runs a world record, and it's number 10 on the top plays, which is embarrassing.
Yeah.
It should have been if you're going to do it in the top plays, it should be certainly number 1, but not number 10. What was number 1? A great baseball catch, probably. I don't know. But there'll be another great baseball catch tomorrow. And so that just got thrown in there, and that's, you know, it's just not right. Or we showed the Toby Amundsen, the Nigerian gal, set the world record, but we put down there the world record was 12:06, and so I'm in the Wild Duck having a beer, and I see it, and now I got to text my people like, hey, that's not the world record. She didn't do that. But Mondo doesn't make the show. She does, but Mondo does. If I'm there, Mondo's going to make the show. So sometimes I wish that would happen, but. So I have always been crazy. Back to the original question. I'm just a track fan, and I did growing up. All I wanted to do in life was literally be Dwight Stones. You want to think how crazy that is? I lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Didn't want to be a Packer. Wanted to be Dwight Stones, and now to work with Dwight Stones is really odd, in that way. And so, and that was before I actually even participated in the sport. I came to the sport late as an actual athlete. And so I've always followed it, and I've always had interest and always been there. And it was literally a decision of economics. I had been at ESPN now 15 years or whatever, and we were negotiating a contract, and they were very generous, but they said, hey, here's where we can go. This is it. But is there anything else that you'd like to cover that you haven't, that we think we could be in? And we had changed sort of our golf coverage. So I was no longer going to the US Open. But I had done the US Open. I had done a British Open. I had done the NBA Finals, done a lot of stuff, right? It was great. And I said, well, oddly enough, I said, I'd love to do track and field. And if there's a place to do it. And so it started by getting, I got 5 days, 5 meets put in my deal. So I got 2 SEC, the SEC indoor, SEC outdoor, NCAA indoor, NCAA outdoor, and then the New York Marathon. And now we have the Boston Marathon. And now I get to do the cross country meet, NCAA cross country meet, and the SEC cross. So my portfolio is growing. But that was literally them saying, we don't have $10 more, but is there something you want to do? And I said, this is what I'd like to do. And I had been involved some on the side. I hadn't been doing coverage for ESPN, but I had started doing the Bowerman Award for the U.S. College Track and Field Coaches Association. It's along USTFCCCA.
CCCCC.
Yeah. And I won't tell you how I pronounce it if you try to actually say the word, because it would get bleeped. So, but there are just so many, I just still think it's untapped. There are so many great performers. There are so many great athletes, performances. I think it still translates. I tell people when I was going out to the world, some people go, I kind of used to, everybody ran track in high school. Good for them. But they said, I don't know if I really like track. I said, here's my litmus test. I ask anybody, do you remember who the fastest kid in your neighborhood was? Of course you do. Everybody remembers who the fastest kid in their neighborhood was.
Yeah.
Because that's a cool thing. So in Eugene for 2 weeks, I was in the fastest neighborhood in the world. Yeah. And Fred Kerley's the fastest kid in that neighborhood right now. But I should go get my picture of Fred for you.
Please do. Let's use that as the heading for this article and store and then the podcast.
Hang on one sec. Anyway, so I think people love it, and I'm gonna go get my picture of Fred. Hang on, won't take long.
No, it is okay. I guess this is what people would call dead air. But
no, we're back.
Okay. I was about to go on the whole spiel. Okay.
All right, let's see. Well, first, so here's Devin Allen.
Oh, man.
He was not ruled for a false start there.
Free my dog, Devin Allen. He didn't do anything, literally. Oh, my gosh. Is that Fred Kerley or R&B singer?
I don't, right? It looks like he might be, he about to get your swerve on, like he's singing something there. And then just for good measure, I have Ryan Krauser in a hat.
That's the low-key Old Town Road.
These are posters my wife won't let me hang in the bedroom, like when I was 12. Otherwise, they'd all be on my wall.
Does Kerley know you have this?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I love it. Fred looks like a R&B singer that's about to drop some fire content headed into the fall, like Cisco. What's that thing with Usher where he's doing the watch this? Yeah, that's you got to see, because he got the hoop earring. Fred, listen.
Fred looks like he's about to sing something going to help people make babies.
John said it, not me.
I'm just telling you.
What is Jeffrey Osborne? What did Bucci Man say? Chicken woo woo woo.
And the woo woo woo. Yeah,
so,
all of them.
I feel track to me is like so if anybody knows anything about me, people know that this body was built on fried chicken. I believe that fried chicken is bad for the body, but it is so good for the soul. And there are so many wonderful things that you can do with chicken. And track to me is like a wonderful piece of chicken that you can creatively, you can bake it, you can grill it, you can make a soup out of it, you can fry it, you can have a sandwich, you can have nuggets, you can have stir fry, you can have pho or pho, whatever. It's really good. And so
have my boy, you can have my boy Lyndon Victor make curry chicken, which is unbelievable.
Yes. What do they say? Too much sauce? There's so much that you can do with it. And for you, what is it that just thinking big picture? Because this platform started in November with the hopes, and obviously we're very young, and we're still trying to grow. By we, that means me as the one man showing this. Still trying to innovate, and I have my own style in how I do it, but it is to, at the end of the day, help tell the stories of these wonderful athletes that deserve to have their story told and elevate the sport. And I know there's so many people who are like me who are doing the same thing, including yourself. So I gave you a piece of chicken and just say it's track and field. What dish are you trying to make in order to help satisfy the need, the taste, and the palate of this sport?
Well, I think at this point, I'm trying to prepare something that the most people will like, right? I would like to make the biggest audience possible. So so I'm not going to go crazy with that, I'm not going to go healthy, right? Since I'm not competing, this is not a skinless, grilled with broccoli on the side.
Listen, I have a motto too. If you can't fry it, don't buy it. So I'm with you right there.
Listen, I come from Wisconsin, right? Like, hey, here's a cheese curd. What should we do with this? I don't know, but let's start by deep frying and we'll see where it goes.
But it's incomplete, like you said. So that's
right,
a bad.
Right, and you got to do that. But so that would be the first thing. I don't know exactly what I would do, but I need it to be, maybe it could be fried chicken because it's for the best, the widest audience, and I know that we can do that, and I know that will be delicious. Because I want as many people in the tent as I can.
Right.
And so if I'm telling people here, I'm having chicken come in the tent, I want you to see all this, but I'm doing, some, again, even curry chicken. I'm not sure how many people I'm going to get. It's a shame if they did. Maybe that's what track is. Maybe if you go like, no, try the curry chicken. You go, wait, this is unbelievable.
That's actually brilliant. Because curry has so much flavor, like so many layers.
So maybe that's what it is. We're like, come for the fried chicken, but when you get a hold of the curry chicken, you go like, wait, this is what I've been waiting for all my life. I need this. This is okay. I'm here. I'm for it. So maybe we need to do that. I mean, we need to kind of lure them in with a little of this, but then go here's what we really have, because it is, and I look at it too, is it's so many sports.
It is.
I always argue when the guys that go do play-by-play for basketball at our place, you get a day or two, they call them a prep day. You get to prep. I'm like, how hard is it to prep for 7 guys, maybe 8 tops on each side, and they run around in a 94-foot rectangle? How hard is that? Like, I go to the SEC meet, we got 14 teams outdoors and 19 events. Are you kidding me right now? And by the way, only about 6 of them are related. The 100 and the 200 are about the same, and maybe the 5 and the 10, but the shot put's not like the high jump, which is not like the pole vault, which is not like the discus, which is not like running the 100 meters, which is not like running the 10K, which is not like running the 800. So that's the other thing. Like, there's stuff for everybody. And that's part of it. Helps that, I'm always torn by the World Championships or the Olympics. Like, you require me to watch for 10 days, which is a big ask, but yet there's enough stuff going on that I'm busy, but not so much that I miss something. And I think people enjoyed that part of the thing too. You're watching the 4x400, and now here's in time we're showing that we're throwing the hammer in the stadium, which they didn't. They usually throw it outside the stadium. And then you're watching Mondo, and you see all this stuff going on, and so I think all of that stuff is what's amazing. You don't want to, you get, sometimes it can be too much stuff. I think you could compress it. I get what they want for TV. It's harder to do that into 2-hour windows, but that's one of the advantages of doing the World Championship of the Olympics, is when we spread it out, now I can focus on 3 or 4 finals and some qualifiers in that 2-hour window. And it's great. Your ask is only that 2 hours, but now you're also asking me for 9 days. Whereas sometimes we're like, okay, what you really need is about 4 hours and, and 3 days. So, and if it's done right, then the heats are okay. If I had to just take the final, I will. But in this case, when there's so many good people, I want to see my 200 heats so that I can see Noah Lyles in one, and I can see Kung Fu Kenny in another one, and I can see Arian Knight in another one, and I can see Fred in another one, and I can see Christian Coleman didn't run, but I can see each of those guys, and I want to see them go through the rounds because in their case, it happens so fast, right? I want to see him run more than once.
Kung Fu Kenny, man, I'm not gonna lie to you, I owe him an apology.
Didn't think he was going to do it, did you?
I have not picked him for a medal stand yet, but he is.
It's all right. He can't hear you. He's got a silver medal over each ear.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like, I'm trying to figure out who in sports, in any other sport, would you compare Kung Fu Kenny to? Because he is the American. If you're going to say if we're going to stick to track, to me, he's the American version of Andre DeGrasse. But in sports, I'm trying to think of that one team or that one player who was like, nah, they're not gonna, nah. And then
right now he's kind of got DeMar DeRozan with the Bulls written all over him. Like, okay, here he is. I think he's okay. The Lakers said, nah, we'll do the Westbrook thing. He goes over and he just crushes it. And everybody's like, damn, he's an all-star. He's put his team on his back. They got him in the playoffs. They got hurt somebody, but they're like that, and all of a sudden you're like, why did more people why were more people not bidding for DeMar DeRozan? And why the hell did the Lakers decide that, they wanted another guy who is a heavy ball handler, which is fine. I love Russ, and that's his job. Like, that, what he is coming in. But how are we going to we're going to pair him with another guy who likes to have the ball in his hands, and then a guy that gets hurt every time because he falls down. He looks like he's made of balsa wood. So he's got a little DeMar DeRozan in him. I think, that you go, damn, wait, no, he's really good. And the thing about DeRozan is right after it's done, you go, I knew he was really good too. I don't know why I got fooled. Kenny's really good. And you're like, wait, how'd I get fooled?
He's he reminds me of a little bit of Lou Williams without the wings.
And the strip joint.
Yeah.
and the lemon pepper, Lou's lemon pepper wings over at whatever it was called, Miracles. I forget.
But Lou is a bucket getter. Okay, fine. So maybe not Lou. So let's Jamal Crawford.
Only one dude's 23 and the other guy's 43, but close. Yeah.
Listen, Jamal Crawford can shake a 23-year-old with those handles that he has.
He was like 40 and went for 50 or whatever it is. You're like, wait, he's still got it.
Yeah.
By the way, he's a Sports Center favorite.
Kenny or Jamal?
Jamal Crawford. He's a Sports Center thanks to Kenny Mayne. So we used to, for a long time, almost at the end of every show, we would just remind people that Jamal Crawford is still available. Trying to get him back in the league.
There's a guy on Twitter, Rob Perez. He does the same thing. He used to do when the Lakers were losing bad. He would always tweet out, Kent Bazemore is ready to play. So yeah, it's Jamal Crawford. I want to play a quick game before we switch to off the track stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna name 5 athletes, including ourselves. I want you to name the NFL team that matches how good or how bad you think this person was.
Okay.
If you had to, like, an NFL team to describe how you were as an athlete.
Boy, what is passionate but middling?
Detroit.
Okay, now listen, I wasn't 0-16. I admit I once won a meet where I was the only competitor.
A win is a win. I don't know, passionate, but
so I don't want to go with the Browns currently right now. Maybe the Titans. I think they like them. The Titans are there, but you're just like, I think they're good, but they're not really good. And some days you have a great day and you fool you long enough to think, okay, maybe there's something. And in the end, you're like, nah, they're just an okay team,
Okay.
So, and that was me. I was okay. Like I said, I tell people I won 2 meets, and one of them I was the only dude. And only reason I know this is not because I collect trophies or anything, but I was speaking to the Wisconsin Coaches Association, which is a large group, like 1,000 people, and I had to go. And so I was trying to go. I'm usually pretty self-deprecating about it, which I have to because I was a high jumper and I work with Dwight Stones. Hey, I could tell you about the time I set the county record, and Dwight could go, hey, let me tell you about the time I jumped higher than anybody in the history of the world ever, twice. And then I did it 4 times. So I can't get into that argument, right? So
it's like, you want to see me jump higher than the world record? Want to see me do it
it's easier to kind of downplay it. But I do remember. So I think the meet I won by myself, I won at 6'10". So that's a respectable height, right?
Yeah.
For a dude. For a middle.
You leaped over Chris Bosh.
A middle class white kid who's 6'3", 6'10".
That's really good.
But here's how much confidence I had in the athlete. I'm pretty sure I started at like 6'2", just to make sure I made a bar and knew I was going to win. And then we moved it up because I'm like, damn, if I start at like 6'8" and blow it, I will have literally lost a meet when I'm the only dude in it. So that should tell you where my confidence kind of was when I came down. So I guess we'll go Titans.
That's a high track and field IQ, because I was on the weightlifting team back in high school, and there was a kid, he was a running back, and he came in at 345 on the bench press. No, I'm sorry, 355 on the bench press. Missed all 3 times. Was the favorite to arguably win states. Missed all 3 attempts.
Zero.
So I think that is a high track IQ. Yeah. And so, yes. You
know what? I'll start telling people, here's how bright I was, instead of going, here's how nervous and lacking in confidence I was. I'll play it. You're right. That's much more the glass is half full. Hell, that's the glass is 3/4 full. I appreciate that. I'll go with that.
Yeah, that's if you tip it over, some milk falls out.
So, okay, so we'll go with that's where I'll go Titans.
Okay. For me, I have to go a little lower. So my highlight was I beat Ray Lewis's son in the shot put in regionals. But you would think that would be first place, but it wasn't anywhere close to first place. My track and field career, I say, would equate to the Bears offensive line.
Currently?
Yes.
Okay, because the 85 Bears were great.
No, I mean currently. It's
there's some holes in that game then.
Every
once in a while you block them up though.
Justin Fields will be safer if he played 7 on 11. Just put it that way.
2-hand touch in the 7-part deal. Yeah. So you beat Ray Lewis's kid. See, I judge by the people I lost to. I'm like, hey, you know what? I got hammered in the triple jump in high school by Kenny Harrison. And I got beaten the high jump at a meet one time by Hollis Conway down at USL back when they called it USL. Now they just call it Lafayette. I got beat some when Eric Metcalf, the great, he was a really good NFL player for 10 years. But was a really, really good long jumper and still hangs around the sport. In fact, he was out at the Worlds. And he, after his long career, he gets traded late to the Cardinals. And I'm working in Phoenix. And so he's first day, we sit down, we're going to talk. Here's the new guy. And I look at him, I look him right in the eye, and I go like, you don't even recognize me, do you? And so now he's like, and I said, I got thrown into the long jump once late in a meet for my coach trying to help me get my letter. And there were only like 4 guys. And so if they threw me 5th, I could still get a point. And I said, and you beat me by like 3.5 feet. And he about fell out of his chair laughing. He's like for a minute, he was legitimately like, okay, how do I not know this guy? Like, did I diss him somewhere? No, I'm just like, yeah, we were in a meet where we ended up and you crushed me.
It's so crazy. And I'm going to get to the rest of the questions later in our rapid fire. But you say that, isn't it crazy? Like some of the people that you watched or was on the same track and field as you are just lighting it up. Like,
dude, I watched a 100-meter race that had Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker in it.
Oh, you win. Okay, cool. Yeah. Now he has a 30 for 30 series. And
no, I sat there. Rod Woodson ran in the hurdles, Hall of Famer. And then in the 100, Bo Jackson was in it with Herschel Walker. LSU Paper Tiger Invitational over spring break.
Marvin Bracey went to school 10 minutes from my high school, and he used to run at our track. His coach, Ricky Argaro, was the coach at. So I have to say my class was the first class to ever win districts, right?
Nice.
So Marvin used to come, and Marvin was winning states with like a pulled hamstring, like running back. I'm not even kidding. So like
running in Uggs.
Yeah, literally to see him it's just like I've been watching him race.
But I tell you what, the rest of those guys, they just pile on Marvin. Like, I don't have the Twitter, but I know about the Twitter. And they just
Vern and Norwood and
Vern and Fred, they are killing him.
Oh my gosh. Trayvon.
And he takes it. He just takes it, man.
Because he can dish it too. Like it's the
but that's
thing
always
to
good,
watch.
man. They are just Who was somebody said, listen, even if I think it was Vernon. Vernon was like, yeah, when I was doing the stuff for Citius magazine, he's like, man, even if Marvin had won, we were still gonna pile on him. Just like that's
Vernon.
amazing.
The next day, Vernon goes, at least I didn't fold like Marvin Bracey in the last 10 meetings. I'm like, oh boy, that's
they're fantastic. Yeah. But that's what you talk about that. That's where you think like, if NFL players did that, which they do, they make big news and people laugh about it, or, they don't, if they realize it's all in fun, but people play that up. People, when the NBA, when they do that, they go crazy. Like the track's got those characters. They have good stories and they have great characters, right? There are guys that are characters in there. Grant Holloway is a character.
Oh man.
Right. So those guys, there are dudes that are just like Joe Kovacs is that way. Our boy Tundi went and got lit at Denny's. There are dudes that are characters
at 3:00 in the morning.
God bless my guy. That's my guy.
Man, I gotta get him on the show because I need to know how do you get lit on a grand slam? Like,
first off, what a genius guy that said, you know what, we should put a bar in our Denny's, and so there's a bar in the Denny's. That's the thing.
That's a genius. He didn't have to go to the Wild Duck.
One-stop shopping. Come on in.
On a scale of Aaron Donald to the worst player you ever seen, how lit is the Wild Duck? I went there.
Yeah, once. I think it's actually fairly tame. It's just busy.
Yeah,
right?
it's
not people going cuckoo. I mean, in the end, all those people probably had to get up and run at 6 a.m. They all wanted to go out and have a run. And so good for them,
Yeah,
the majority of them were like, well, okay, here it is. We've got that, So maybe I'll have one more Truly before I get out of here, so I can go make sure I make it to the park for that that
10-mile stroll or whatever, which will put you in Springfield. Or, but
yeah.
listen.
So that's my thought is, it's packed, but I don't know that it's off the chain, as the kids say.
I thought it. Yeah, used to say because that went out of style. I still say it because I'm an artifact, but the young kids nowadays, they say lit, so I have to say lit.
That too.
But yeah, I thought it was like this I almost said groovy, but this crazy place.
The other part about it that's neat is that you'll just, like, everybody shows up there at some point.
Yeah, literally.
Even if they've just competed, or even if they're no longer in there, because you literally walk by and you go, I'm pretty sure I just saw Sebco, right? Because everybody shows up, and you're like, everybody that you go, that kind of looks like somebody. That's actually who that is.
Yes.
In the running world is there. So that's kind of the difference. Whereas you go to the Waffle House in Atlanta and go, I think that guy kind of looks like Matt Ryan. If you're the Wild Duck, you're like, no, that's Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
And the Wild Duck, or if you're in Atlanta, you're like, no, that was just a guy that kind of looked like him.
But it could have been like, somebody impersonating Matt Ryan.
Yeah, but those are,
I love it. I mean, they had some fries that had steak and whatever in them. That's the only reason I kind of love it. I don't know. Yeah. I was like pointing at the menu, whatever that is, just make sure the steak is cooked medium.
All I know is they didn't have a Bud Light, which that's all right. I had, I can drink a Michelob Ultra, but I'm just pretty much I'm just a straight, easy. I don't need,
you like some Bud Light?
I am not a shock top left-handed.
I'm not
brand malted thing. Just give me a Bud Light, man. I'm at school in Missouri. I'm good. I don't need that. It has to
be a Missouri thing, because I had a Bud Light, so I decided.
Or I'll take a Miller. I'm all right with the microbreweries are fine. I have a shirt somewhere from Anheuser-Busch that says we spill more than you make.
That's
and
fair.
I'm down with that.
Listen, I may get crucified for this, but if it's Bud Light, Miller Light, Austin Light, Darrell Light, don't matter. It tastes like cat urine to me. I'm just being honest with you.
That's sorry. All right. We all drink what we drink.
Yes, forgive me, America.
I'm not mad.
What are 3 things that also, there's a bunch of pictures of you at like the Wild Duck and taking pictures with people. So if you thought that was John,
that's because I'm not misbehaving. I'm just there. I'm having a beer or two, visiting with folks, and on my way.
You were standing straight. Everybody else was leaning. So That's all good.
My Christmas tree is straight.
It's straight. Hey, I'm with that. I like that. I'm gonna start using that. 3 things people don't know about you.
That they don't know about me. Boy, because by now people know I got season tickets to the Packers.
I didn't know that.
Season ticket holder of the Packers. Now most people know that I ran. They didn't, most people didn't realize that all the time. I got in trouble with people on the message board one time at Let's Run because I made a joke that they didn't like, but it was a joke. When I said the only thing more boring than track is field. But it wasn't my joke. It was the guy a guy named Jones Ramsey, who was the longtime SID at Texas. Right. So the guy knew about the Texas relay. So that was just his joke. The only thing more boring than track is field, which I thought was really funny. So
that is funny.
Just making a joke. But, most people in track don't have a big sense of humor. So
all the Francis in track and field line up.
Yeah. So first they just gutted Van Pelt because they thought it was him, and then Van Pelt's like, it's not him, and then so they found out it was me, and then they gutted me, and then one guy go, didn't he run at Missouri? And they look at him like, he was, not only did he run there, he was the captain of the team. Well, he shouldn't be making fun then. I'm like, come on,
wow, okay, let me not.
So let's see. So okay, they don't know about me. So I'll do this maybe, but so I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I have season Packer tickets. My favorite player ever in NFL by far. Like when I get golf balls, I have number 34 in them. My favorite player was a Chicago Bear, Walter Payton.
I love that.
It's hard to be a Walter Payton fan in Green Bay.
Well, that's why people don't know it about you.
That's hard. Yes. So I have that. So I don't hide that. I don't shirk from that. I have 1 hole in 1, but I made it on a par 4.
That's still impressive.
I have a hole in 1 on a par 4. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else that people don't absolutely that would, I'm trying to think, don't know, or that would be shocking.
You know what? I think I have one because of the generation of people.
My life is an open book to folks. It's okay. I don't have,
here's the thing that people may not know. How about this?
Go ahead. I have 3 kids, and all of them ended up at the University of Arkansas.
I mean, you guys just don't care about rivalries.
I went to Mizzou, and I have a daughter who is now 32, and she went to Arkansas from Tulsa, and my son went to Arkansas, even though he's in Connecticut, and then his sister followed him. She left yesterday. I got all kinds of hog kids.
Woo, pig suey. So that must do something to you when they win all the championships, and you have to stand there and cover it.
No, listen, not really. Like, I know what I'm up against in that conference, and I know what my program is at Mizzou. It's, it was hard. We contended some in the oh, there you go. How about this? I measured Joe Dial, one of Joe Dial's world records in the pole.
Did you really?
Yes, in the Columbia. You needed 2 people to climb up there and did it. Andy Joslin, my former teammate, Andy Joslin, who was a really nice 800-meter runner in the Big 8. By the way, that's how old I was in the Big 8. And I was the second guy up the ladder to confirm. I think it was Joe's 19.2.5 world record.
So it's like, oh, we're good. Okay, cool. Wow. So you are track and field history. That is crazy. One thing that I was thinking of that this generation of people might not know is that you are literally the Jack or the John of all trades, but you master quite literally all of them. You were a key member of a television series called Wipeout, which I used to watch. Like, there's this show called The Good Place that is no longer in, but I used to watch Wipeout all the time and laugh at people's misery.
It was great fun to do that.
You and
the other John Henson.
John Henson. Oh, Jill. What's her last name? She plays
Wagner.
on Hallmark. Jill Wagner.
Yeah.
Plays on Hallmark.
She's the Hallmark queen now.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, you are who everybody else wishes they could be. Because I mean, you're on there telling jokes about.
They're go, well, not if I got to send my kids to Arkansas. No,
Ooh.
no,
Hey,
that's nice
listen.
of you to say. So,
but no, it's just like that's what track and field needs. Track and field needs a wipeout, or at least a setup of a wipeout.
that's not what Woody Kincaid says, man. He had one and he did not like it. Daniel Roberts did not like the wipeout at all. Daniel Roberts would rather not have a wipeout.
Well, it will exclude the hurdle. It would exclude.
There were some people that went down would rather not. That's for sure. But
there's a lot.
Yeah, but that was fun. That was a good crew to work on, and it was a crazy thing that fell in my lap, and it was 7 amazing seasons of fun with those guys.
When you're not talking about people and their accomplishments, and you're not covering track and field, and you're not going to Arkansas,
right, or Eugene,
what are you doing? What is a day in the life of a boss of the
I am trying to catch up on sleep. I do most normal things, right? Like I make everybody's bed in the morning, and
that's normal.
I don't know, the kids run off to school, so I make their beds in the morning, and I'm usually, because I work late, the last one out, so so I'll go ahead and do that. Until recently, because I travel so much, I used to just mow my own lawn because that was fine. I like to do that. I shovel my own driveway. I love to do that. Oddly enough, that's the Wisconsin me. Like I love to go out and shovel my own driveway.
I hear the accent too. It's just amazing.
I catch up. I have different projects. We talked before we went on. Like right now, I'm narrating a book for a friend of mine. For his audio book, and I just do literally normal stuff. Like if you think what do normal people do during their day, I'm like, that's it. I balance my checkbook, and then when if I'm lucky enough, sometimes I get to the golf course, which I love to do. I love to do, and then I come back going, why the hell did I bother going to the golf course? You're miserable at this game.
What's been your favorite course to play?
If I could go play one, I'd go play Southern Hills in Tulsa. So I lived in Tulsa it was my first job out of school.
Yeah, you worked there.
I guess technically, I mean, I worked at the NBC station in Columbia while I was still in college. But once I graduated, and I lived in Tulsa for 8 years, close to that, if not 8. And that place is still, it's still amazing. I love it. And the other place I'd go play is because I have a place down on Kiowa Island. I love the ocean course at Kiowa Island, where they had the last 2 PGAs, Kiowa Island and Southern Hills. That's where I'd like to go play. I'd like to go play those 2 places.
Oh my gosh. What's the dream location?
Probably like everybody else. Like I probably would like to play Augusta. Yeah. And I guess, and then the other one, I would love to go play the Old Course. I've been there. I got to cover Open there. When people go, what are cool things that you've done? And you think, okay, well, I've been to the Super Bowl, and those kind of things are fun. But like on Tuesday of the Open week, Van Pelt and I were just walking down the 17th road hole in 18 with Tiger Woods. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'll take that.
That is
just,
awesome.
Just 10 minutes. And him talking, I said, I could still hear the conversation fairly distinctly. And I said something about my daughter's, she's not getting golf, just not down with it. And he goes, my daughter at the time, now remember, this is the one, not this one, the one before that Zach Johnson ended up winning. And he had said that, he said, right now, my daughter doesn't like golf because she equates it with daddy's leaving home.
Oh.
So at the time, Sam's like, oh, dad's golf clubs are out. That means he's going somewhere. So she wasn't wild about golf. Now, maybe she has grown to that as an older person and appreciate what her dad does, right? But when you're 6 or 7 or whatever, that's how she saw golf, was daddy's leaving town. And so you're like, there's that little moment. There's that little snippet of like, that's a real person, right? That's not the guy you see all the time. That's not the billionaire guy or the guy who Focus is going to make it. Like, look, that's a real deal. That's a lot of guys, a lot of daughters, dads, doesn't matter what they do, but they see dad and he's leaving for the week to go on a business trip.
Gosh, he's leaving on that midnight train to Georgia takes on a new meaning.
Listen, by the way, if I could have had anything when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a Pip. I'd have totally been a Pip.
Oh man. What? Oh, listen.
Like I'm there. I would be Merrill. I would be Merrill Knight in a heartbeat.
I would love see my jam. I have a Motown collection. I love see, I don't like this new stuff. I love Motown, I love smooth jazz, I love Christmas music. Gladys Knight the Pips, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Jeffrey Osborne, my dog, Luther Vandross, Marvin Gaye, all that stuff. I think
if I turn on my phone here, I think the most played song on my list is the Isley Brothers. This old heart of mine is weak for you.
This old heart of mine been broken 1,000 times. It's time to break away. I think you're going to stay.
Yeah, that's right there. And you know, one that is criminally underrated is Larry Graham's "One in a Million You."
Oh, 1 in a million.
Chance of a lifetime. Like I think that's criminal because most people go, "Oh, that's got to be Lou Rawls or it's got to be something like that." But
put some respect on Drake's uncle's name.
Can we get some Graham Central Station right now, please?
Graham Central Station. Shout out to I ain't even gonna call him a one-hit wonder.
But that song's amazing.
Oh, that's
gonna play his baritone, and when he drops it out and goes, "Life had compassion." You're just like, damn.
And then he goes, and sent to me a stroke of love.
That's amazing.
You, oh man, that is
so. See, we're on the same page right there.
That is a criminally underrated
I'm telling
song.
You, criminally underrated.
Oh man, do you know of the moments or the Ray Goodman and Brown?
No.
Okay, maybe that's a little bit before your time.
I don't.
Gosh, see, me and Carrie did this on the show, and we actually did a Boys to Men tribute.
Oh, see, I don't know that. Also, like it's just like people that are. If you're really in R&B, you know that the power behind Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes is not Harold Melvin.
It's Teddy Pendergrass.
It's all Teddy Pendergrass. By the way, the ladies loved Teddy Pendergrass.
He was very
like, you think Marvin Gaye got him going up.
Teddy.
Or even Luther Vandross. I don't think either of those cats could shake a stick at Teddy Pendergrass.
When Teddy started hollering, it was game over.
I mean, you got no shot.
Joy. Joy. Oh man, what is a criminally underrated? Everybody sings "If You Don't Know Me By Now."
Yeah,
I think "Bad Luck" is a underrated song.
Yeah, and that's a banger.
Bad luck.
I mean, that thing is a banger.
Honestly, like if I'm walking and I see somebody push their cart because they're trying to push it into the little slot where the carts are and it hits a car, I'm a bad luck. That's what you got. That's what you got. It fits like every situation. You drop a pass, listen, that is me, man. I mean, that is gosh. I had no idea that was on your playlist. I didn't know that you.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm okay. I don't have any country and western, but I got a little of that.
No, listen, that's all you need. A little Peebo Bryson.
Bryson, come on now.
A little Freddie Jackson. I don't know if you know anything about him a little bit. How about this one? How about Isaac Hayes?
Yeah, I mean, outside of Shaft,
he has a rendition of Joy that I like. But other than that, it's so funny because I've been listening to, that's on my like Larry Graham is on my summertime playlist. The Isley Brothers, This Old Heart of Mine, been broke 1,000 times.
That thing's. And the first time I'd heard that song, oddly enough, because I like to think I know some of that. The first time I heard it was actually on the old show Moonlighting.
Okay.
Right, which has some which Al Jarreau sings the theme song to that.
Al Jarreau's a bad boy too.
He's ripping Wisconsin, man. He's big.
After all.
But he in that, so there's the guy Bruce Willis plays, David Addison, and he meets his old girlfriend, right? And she just shakes him hard. And it's playing in the background when she comes in. I'm like, dang, that song is unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I used to watch the Bernie Mac show and some of those old songs. He used to play it all the time, whether it was like James Brown or the Isley Brothers. If there was a concert that you wish you could attend from that era, and I could totally see you being a Pip. Like, I could definitely see.
I'm in. Like, when we end this, neither one of us is going to want to say goodbye, but somebody's going to have to.
Listen, it's like that. You know, you're talking about Sid. I can see you.
So the one I'd go see, the person I have not seen, and I would love to see, is Stevie Wonder.
What song does he have to play?
Let's see. I can remember buying the 45 of Sir Duke.
You can feel it all.
Yeah, no, it's give me a second.
Oh my gosh, God, that song never can say, but because neither one of us. And then I can see you in the background, neither one of us.
Right. I can give you the woo woo. I'm down with that. God, there's I'm going through, you know, some of the.
Give me two. Just give me two.
Yeah, so we'll go with that one.
Sir Duke.
Yeah, My Sharia Moore is great.
Lovely.
For Once in My Life.
For once in my life.
Yeah.
I have someone.
Maybe that. I might want him to sing For Once in My Life. Yeah.
He has so many, and then so many underrated.
Like, did you know Fingertips that became such a hit? Do you realize, like, that wasn't even a song? He literally just came out to say goodnight and thank people for the amazing little 11-year-old Stevie Wonder, whatever it was. And so it was the end of the concert, and he was just saying goodbye. And then he just kind of broke into that, and the band just kind of came in and followed him. Wasn't even meant to be a song.
Improv at its finest. And then it's like, you think the song is over, and then honestly, I thought it was over when I first
got
heard
out there
it.
with a harp and busted it out. And the dudes, because all those Motown guys, the session players were, you know, that film, that documentary on the old session players of those guys was amazing. And so they all just were like, all right, cool, we can get down this. Some dude just started a bass line, they jump in and boom.
And then it's just like, you think it ends, and then all of a sudden, clap your hands just a little bit louder.
Right. And to think they all just did that on the spot. Like, there were no charts. Nobody wrote that.
No, it was
into it.
They felt the beat. Yeah. Oh man. Speaking of the beat,
am I getting in trouble because I like Mary Wilson better than Diana Ross?
No. What you know about Mary Wilson?
I'm just saying.
Oh man. No, I'm thinking Mary Wells. But yeah, you might get in trouble. He likes Mary Wilson when the Supremes ended. Yeah, we'll just say that they had some bangers too, man. That was just like.
And is there a bad duet between with Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye?
What's the best duet? Oh, heaven must have sent you from above.
No, boy, what's my favorite one when they come?
That's not my favorite, man. You want me to name a couple?
Yeah.
There's Ain't No Mountain High Enough,
which is terrific.
There's If This World Were Mine.
If I
could build my whole world around you.
If I could build my whole world around you.
If I could build my whole world around you, darling.
Yeah, that's, and she was one. You know, what a shame that she passed too. But yeah,
you young kids, you young kids, get educated. I know I said that. I said it the right way because that's the best era of music.
I don't know. Like I said, and I got to that, but I still like, I'm like right now, I probably have, I love all things Van Morrison. I love all things Rolling Stones. I'm more into the Stones and the Who than I am the Beatles.
Fair.
Right, which is not saying, but it's just to preference. And that would be who I prefer. So I got a lot of
Van Morrison's
I got a lot of Midwestern white guy in me too, right? Alvin Chinsky's polka band.
man.
I can't dance, but I can polka, which is ridiculous because you don't grow up in Wisconsin with a bunch of Polish people and Catholic weddings without knowing how to polka. There's another one people don't know about me. I can polka. You play Roll Out the Barrel, I'm your guy.
Well, yeah. I thought polka was the little dot on a shirt, so I just never realized it was a dance.
Oh yeah,
you have a great taste. Mm-hmm. Van Morrison, he had some bangers too. Crazy Love or Moon Dance, I think it's
Moon Dance. Jackie Wilson said is amazing. Queen of the Slipstream. Everybody knows Brown Eyed Girl, but there's some other ones that
the low key, the ones
Super Low Honey.
Yes, I remember that one. Mm-hmm. Gosh, you see, if you weren't a Pip, who you would be perfect with? If you would be an honorary member of Hall & Oates.
I could do some Blue Eyed Soul. I'm down with that. I like that. Sarah Smile, Rich Girl. Those are. It's funny, those songs, for whatever reason, back when I was doing Wipeout, that was sort of the iPod days. And
I still have my iPod, so.
Yeah. And so I would work on our scripts on stuff on the flight out. And then when I'd get done to take a break, I'd play a playlist, and that was on all the time. So now when I hear songs like that from Hall & Oates, it makes me think of driving through LA and listening to Hall & Oates and going to Wipeout, which is crazy. It's kind of a Pavlovian thing. I'm like, wait, I should be going to the Amarano Hotel.
I hope you've recovered from that. Was such a busy schedule for you. I hope you got at least like a couple hours.
Yeah, that one was because I had to go to LA to do it.
Yeah, oh boy.
So ABC, ESPN let me do it, but I had to do it on my days off. So I'd do 5 shows here, and then I'd fly to LA I'd do 4 shows here, and I'd take a vacation day or something and go out there for 2.5 days, and then I'd be back.
Hashtag no sleep. Team no sleep. But quickly before we get into the last part of the interview, I was thinking about the golf. That golf is hard to watch on TV at times. At times. Mm-hmm. I found the more I learned about the sport, the more I love it. But I got the opportunity to go to the Bay Hill Invitational, Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Yeah.
Arnold Palmer's huge down here. I actually got his autograph when I was younger. And Tiger was playing.
Yep.
And that was before
and probably winning because he won it 7 times or 8 times.
He won. When I tell you, I was there all day. My friend, they had like all these fancy passes where you can go in the tents and all this other stuff. There's nothing like being in the midst of greatness. Like, he drew the biggest crowd, and just I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there's just, when you were talking about you and Van Pelt walking, which is like a small forward and a point guard, walking together down the court. Right.
What's amazing is those guys hit it. Like you can equate it to some degree in track and field in that, although that's where I love golf and I can find it riveting late, but like track and field's much more exciting. Like it's happening, it's going. But if you watch Fred Kerley run 9.76 and you think, well, I know how to run, right? You could run to your mailbox, but you can't run 9.76. And you go, look, I can hit a golf ball. You can, but you can't hit it like any of those guys.
No.
Right? Like it's the same kind of thing. You're like, you kind of are ostensibly doing the same thing, but you're not doing anything close to the same thing.
No,
You know,
no.
you're just not.
Putt
Hey,
is
I
not
ran a
life.
mile and a half on the treadmill today. Great. In a time some other dude ran 4 miles, you know? So
Literally, there was a dude next to me one year doing mile repeats, and
yeah,
his
well, that's just
pace.
dumb.
Yes, it was, but his pace was like nowhere near what the elite, which is crazy, which is why you can't. It's silly when fans criticize track, like, oh, he's just slow. It's like, no, like your average Joe or Sue cannot go out there and do anything.
Or your NFL player that goes out and says, oh, I can run that fast. No, you can't.
Listen,
like Metcalf was a nice showing, but he's not quite there, you know. And there have been guys gone the other way, right? Michelle Carter's dad, Michael Carter, was unbelievable, and he threw the shot, and he was great. And so there are a few that cross lines. I'll be anxious to see how Devin Allen does. I hope he does great.
But think about it, man. Like Tyreek Hill, I was in high school, so actually, wow. Now I think about it, I saw Tyreek Hill run in high school because they came down to Golden South. Golden South was at the high school I used to attend.
Okay.
As fast as he is, he's not breathing on what Usain Bolt was doing, what Noah Lyles was doing.
No, like when he came out of high school, listen, he was the high school athlete of the year. He's Track and Field News' high school athlete of the year, so he was legit. But not anymore. He doesn't train that way. He gets beat up every day, you know, getting tackled. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that's a contact sport. He gets beat up every day and bruises, and he's really fast, but he's not that fast anymore. You know, it's a different deal.
Yeah. So Devin Allen, we're rooting for you.
Totally.
Really rooting for you. Philly is better off having him on the team. Let's jump into our last topic. Then we're going to wrap this up with a bow.
Okay.
What do you want to see out of track and field? How do you think we can really push this sport forward and elevate it forward?
So I want to see more of it, but that might mean seeing less of it. I think maybe there are too many meets, but I want to see more of it. Right. I'd like to see more of it. I would like what's tomorrow? The Diamond League on Wednesday is in Monaco. Starts at 2 p.m. or something. But I'd like to see it. I would like to not have it all be behind a paywall, whether it's NBC's paywall or whether it is FlowTrack's paywall or Runner Space paywall. I'd like to see it. I get it. Those people have businesses, and to televise it costs money, or to show it or stream it. So I understand that. But I'd like to have more access of it. And if I could see it, that would be great. And then I would like to have the best people meet more often. And if that means that, like, we might have a few too many post-collegiate pros, but I'd like to see Fred and Christian Coleman in a lane together more often. Right. And I'd like to see, and I think we get it. I think the 200 Monaco is loaded. I think we get Knight and
Michael
Kenny,
Norman,
and Michael Norman's thrown in there as well.
Kenny's hurt
again. I know he had a little something, and he broke his toe in December. And
his last race he pulled up with I don't know if it was a hamstring or a quad. I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to assume.
So I'd like to see that more often. You know. So I think that's part of it. I think we need to see. I get people go, oh, we need more rivalries. Yeah, that helps, but you just need to see more good on good. You know, there's a reason that Alabama Georgia rates better than Alabama Wofford. Listen, all power for Wofford. That's great. And how about I'll even pick my own, the Missouri Alabama. And so every once in a while, because of the way it's structured and agents go, and because your appearance fees are different and all that other stuff, we got a lot of Bama Wofford and not enough Bama Georgia. Yeah. When they come through. So that's some of that point. Some of that goes to how you could change the funding of the sport, which is a whole nother conversation. But most of these guys that are making money make their money because they're sponsored and they make money off of whatever their shoe contract is. And so they got to race a few times a year, but they want to win. Otherwise that shoe money isn't great. Well, if all that shoe money was actually prize money. And the money that's the prize money was the shoe money. Here's the extra, right? LeBron makes 40 million a year, whatever. And so what he makes from Nike is whatever, is not his main source of income. It's great, but it's not his main source. So if there was more money in the prize pool, then more dudes would show up to race for that money, because that's where they'd make the living. As opposed to going, hey, I've got my shoe money, but I want to protect my record a little bit, so I can only afford to race against these guys a couple of times. So I think that would help too. But and the shoe companies would go for it. I have no doubt that they're like, great, we're paying Sid all this at New Balance, we're paying Fred all this at Nike, or we're paying pick whomever. At this point, they're it's not strictly charitable, but for them it would be money better spent if that money was in the prize pool and not strictly just as sponsorship money.
We need to call you Pastor Anderson, because you're preaching tonight. And another thing, I mean, I love the football point, and then I'll get to my last question and we'll do rapid fire. But you talk about Alabama, Georgia, that's an out of conference game. We need
it is a conference game.
It's a conference game, I'm sorry, but it's non-divisional.
Right.
It's not in the same division. But you need those non-division games. But you also need those out of conference games. You need those, Ohio State versus Notre Dame, and the Georgia and Oregon. I would love to see more of, the young Jamaican Oblique Seville, who I think has a great future, come up and, or Fred Kerley. I would love see Fred Kerley go down to Kingston and, maybe have like,
he went to Nairobi, got his ass handed to him. I would like to see that too. And I listen, I'm selfish. I like to see more of it here in the States, but right now, although I've seen some meets where you're in Europe, and for all the talk, you're like, all right, there's been some sparse crowds in Europe too.
Listen, but I understand the Commonwealth Games. I understand the Commonwealth Games slapped when it comes to attendance, but oh boy, I mean, they are saying it with their whole chest about how they are, 10 times far and away better. But U.S. swimming has dual at the pool. Let's see dual on the track. Let's see a USA versus Canada matchup. Let's see Jamaica.
But I don't want gimmicky stuff. I want
a sprint series, yeah.
Right. Like I don't want to go, okay, because Grant's talking about this. He goes, I want to race Rye Benjamin at like 200 meter hurdles or 250. No. I don't want to see gimmicky stuff. I want to see the real stuff. If you're in your lane, and that's, I want to see that. I think the other thing we could do, and it's funny. So when I was doing the high jump, at one point when they got to 230, which is what, 7.6?
Yeah.
Close to that. So when they got to 230,
7:30.
When they got to 2 meters 30, I mentioned that Dwight Stones was the first guy to clear 230.
Right.
At the time was world record. He was the first man over 230. And so he texts me because he's watching the high jump, and he goes, that record, I did that. He goes, 49 years ago, like last week. And so I'm calling, but I text him like, where was it? And he said it was in Munich, and it was a meet between the U.S., Switzerland, and West Germany. And I thought we could do that more too. The U.S. Russia dual meet used to be a huge thing, man. Wild World of Sports was all over it, and world records were set. Pat Matsdorf, speaking of Wisconsinites, he set the world record there when he jumped 7, whatever it was, 4.5 or so. He jumped 7.5 and a quarter, maybe that was it. He jumped 3. He had a 3-inch PR at this meet against the Soviets, and we used to do that. And I think you could do that. Let's have a U.S. British duel, or let's have a U.S. British. The Norwegians are big right now. Let's bring them in. People are loath to do that because there aren't that many people that, as you can see, that can give us a run for our money. The Jamaicans are starting to expand, right? They still aren't. You get past what the 800 and it's gone.
Really, the 400. They don't have.
Yeah, but they've got some. I was in Gould. She's Jamaican. They're starting to get
the
there.
women's side. Yes,
The women's side, but they could, if they could find that. There's a couple of throwers that are out there, but so that makes it hard. I don't know, and you're never going to find a Kenyan thrower field event squad to come through, but I don't know. I would love to see some more meets like that. I think that would be fun to put more international flavor in it. I don't think when we go, well, we got to have teams. And I know they tried that to some degree, and I love Vin Lanana when they did the Tracktown series. But you can't just arbitrarily go, okay, here's San Francisco's team and here's Chicago and here's New York and put teams on them and say, okay, you and I are going to be from there and we're going to draft these, because there's the civic pride is not really drawn into that. You're not,
right.
It's hard to do that. Now, if you had all San Francisco athletes, it's one thing, or all New York, or you want to have a California, Texas meet, that'd be great to see if you come through with that. Maybe you and I should do that. If you got some tie to Texas, great. So I can have Ryan Krauser and I can have Fred Kerley and some of those things.
Texas versus Florida.
Right. Yeah. Bring it on. You could find some guys. But I think that would be a unique way to look at it, and you could do some stuff there too.
I will say this about Africa: the African nations, they're starting to breed some sprinters. So,
they got some dudes. Yep.
Why? This is the last question in rapid fire. Why do you love the sport so much, and what gives you hope going forward?
Well, I always have hope just because of the athletes, right? They just keep coming, man. One replaces another. I say that at the NCAA meet all the time. The meet never disappoints. And you're like, how are we ever going to replace Fred Kerley? Oh, look, Michael Norman came and ran faster. How are we going to replace, how on earth are we going to replace Grant Holloway? Oh, wait, look, here comes, well, and not even that sport, but here comes Sid. Okay. How are we going to replace Sid? Look, there's a thing, Mo. Like the sport replenishes. So because of that, I always have, there's hope for that. So that's my hope all the time for it. And I forget, what was the first part of it?
Why do you love it so much?
And I love it. I love it just, one, because I competed in it. And I love it, I think, just because to me, it's still sort of the simplest and the purest sport. And you can line up at the World Championships in Oregon and race 100 meters. But if you're 8 years old, man, you get the same feeling if you say to your buddy, I will race you to that tree, and you take off and you get them, right? Like, I think there's something universal about it. It's why I like to watch, as much as I love the NCAA Division I meet, I don't mind when you can see NAIA meets and stuff like that I go to smaller ones. Because what it takes to be good, if you're in the right division, is the same thing. Exactly. The guy who wins the mile at the World Championships and the guy who wins the mile at the NAIA Championships, they go through the same thing. They run the same repeats. The difference is one guy runs his mile repeats at 4:07, and the other guy runs his at 4:45, whatever. But the effort to be good at whatever is exactly the same. It's required. And I enjoy that. And I have great memories of teams I was on and a part of, and all that stuff is just, has been instilled to me that's why I love it. And then I'm just awed by some of the performances when they go through, right? I look at Mondo and I go, wow, that's amazing. That Fred Kerley, when we all said Fred was nuts, because he ran, dude, you ran 43, whatever.
43.60 and something. Yeah. 64.
I think it was 43.65 because then Michael ran 43.45. 45. But it's just, that he can go, well, I'm going to go do that. And you're like, damn, he can, or you watch Ryan Krauser and you're like, that dude just, he threw that pearl like it was nothing.
Like a tennis ball. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's the same reason I like baseball over soccer, and people go, baseball's boring, and people go, soccer's boring. I'm like, it is, and it is, but I prefer one over the other,
Potato, it does not matter. You have survived the interrogation portion of this podcast.
Excellent.
we are now to our last segment called Down the Home Stretch. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. I want you to answer them to the best of your ability as fast as you can.
Okay.
If you do not, it is okay, but I will say there is increasing pressure to catch we have two people who are the gold medalists. You're trying to make the medal stand.
All right.
So our gold medalists for this segment happen to be Marley Stolliper from NC State and our friend Kerley Tollefson.
Well, I can't compete with her, but okay.
Are you ready?
I'll do what I can. Let's go.
If there was a food that you had to live with and live without for the rest of your life, what would they be?
I would live without broccoli forever, and I would live with cheese.
What kind of cheese?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. If you had to be a part of any team, regardless of sports, and play any role, what team would it be?
I'd have been on the 85 Bears, and I would have loved to been in the secondary and just blitz once.
Okay. I respect that.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Hey,
It just that looks like a fun group, didn't it?
It's scary the way that they play defense.
Yeah.
And how we'll probably never see it again.
Exactly.
Essentially, what's the best atmosphere of any sport that you've been to?
The best atmosphere, the Grove at Ole Miss was not terrible. That's for sure. And I'm trying to make a quick mental note. And then when I was at the Mizzou KU game, when Christian Moody missed two sure free throws to win the game, missed them both, and Missouri won in overtime. Was also an all-time atmosphere at the place.
If they were going to make a movie about your life, who is the actor that you want to portray your character, and what's the name of the movie?
Who would play me? I would like Daniel Craig to do it.
Okay.
Just a Bond guy, and I'm thinking, okay, he's current. I like that. And what would it be called? Golly. I got to think of a catchy title, huh?
I call it Midwest Funk.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that would work, but I'd take it. That would be really hard again. So there's a great poem called you know what? I'll do this. Because I just got turned on to it. John Anderson, My Joe, which is the title of a Robbie Burns poem from the 1700s, the great Scottish poet. John Anderson, My Joe.
Okay, John Anderson, My Joe. I like that. If you had to tour with any band at any era, who would you go on tour with?
I'd go on tour with the Rolling Stones.
With the Rolling Stones, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it very long, but I'd be there as long as I could.
Just to be there for a day.
Just a little of the debauchery.
Oh, man. All right, what's the best era of television?
I'm gonna go 70s. I watch it now and I think how innocent it all seemed, what compared to what we have now, and what was like Charlie's Angels was considered racy. But it's hard to beat the cop dramas back then. Like now, the only thing we have is everything's an NCIS, and so God forbid you if you don't like forensic medicine. But back in the day, you had Jim Rockford and Beretta, and you had Kojak and Quincy, and he's the early onset of forensic medicine. I'm down with those guys. Great cop shows. Starsky and Hutch.
This doesn't kind of get some time. Did you watch Hawaii Five-0?
Yes.
I'll tell you an underrated
Cannon,
show.
Barnaby Jones, all of it.
A show that actually
football with Monday Night Football, when Monday Night Football had Danny Don and Frank and Howard. Yeah, 70s in.
My thing, my old show that I used to watch was Columbo.
He's there too. 70s, right? That's our man.
Columbo.
There's one thing bothering me. There's just one thing, man. There's one thing bothering me.
I just wonder who washed his clothes and how many cigarettes or whatever could he put around.
I mean, that guy,
he was a smooth operator.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if you and John Buccigross could start a band, what would it be called?
Listen, Bucci is a music savant.
You are too.
No,
he is
not like that. Although I tell you what, we went on a golf trip last year. We went and saw that because he's a Steeler fan. They played at Lambeau. So we went and we played golf and we were in the car a lot, man. And we rocked some great old 70s and 80s stuff from when we were back in the day, which is amazing. So first off, Butchie would have to be, he would be the lead singer, or he'd be whatever the coolest, hippest, sexiest part of the band is, would totally be JB.
So he's the Teddy
totally
Pendergrass.
Johnny. Yeah. And then I would be, literally I'd be the freaking guitar tech to that guy. So
pretty much Hall and Oates.
We could be that. We could do that. We might, if we could get Van Pelt, we could maybe be Men at Work.
Oh boy. Oh man, that would be.
Yeah, we had to recruit him in.
You guys, if you guys had like an ESPN thing, you guys give me Morris Day and the Time vibes.
Yeah. Well, then we get Mike Eves involved, right?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Mike will be right there for that.
Oh yeah. Man.
And Michael's all in on Prince. Hard.
Oh my gosh. And you got Jay Harris on the bass.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. All right. Last two questions. Dream vacation spot.
Dream vacation spot, because I kind of have it. I love to go down to the beach in Carolina, which is fun. I really want to go to Italy. I have never been, so I'd love to go to Rome and Florence, and I'd go to Italy.
All right, last, technically it'll be a bonus question, but favorite Midwest trend that the world needs to get hip to, or Wisconsin trend?
Yeah, see, here's the thing. I haven't lived there in 20 some odd years. Or 30 years. So, because I don't know that the poke is a trend. So I don't really know what's trending. And I go to Packer games and I'm like, you're still playing the Rolling Stones Start It Up. You've played the same song for 30 years. Maybe we could just update the playlist even a little bit.
Oh boy.
So Midwest, but because I think of Midwest, St. Louis, all that stuff. So I don't know what's really trendy. But we could go back. Like, I think the world all needs the world needs now, besides Love Sweet Love.
It's the only thing
is the world could stand more Butterburgers. It'd be a better place if we brought that. That's
fair. That's fair.
By the way, and if you haven't ever seen the Tom Jones, Sammy Davis Jr., what the world needs now is Love Sweet Love.
I haven't.
Okay, so look it up. You can text me later and thank me.
I will.
And once you see it, you'll know why. I've told all my friends this needs to be played at my funeral. Just play it at my funeral.
Oh man.
Yeah, Tom Jones, Sammy Davis Jr.
Tom Jones. When this is over, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna text you in the morning. Last question. Why does kindness matter to you?
One, because the opposite is just debilitating and tears people apart, and as I tell my kids all the time, because it doesn't cost nothing to be nice to another person, man. And if we've learned anything, at least I think in the pandemic, is that once you're home a long time, you realize you need people in your life. And this is great to talk like this, but it'd be better to do it at the Wild Duck. Or since you're in Orlando, we'll take my Silver Pass and we'll do it on a monorail at Disney. But kindness matters is because people need people, and we need companionship, and you need friends, and you need people to rely on, and people to back you up. There's any manner of reasons that it's the human race, and we all need to get together and do things right. And kindness is where you start all of that. Is just being nice to the next guy. And it doesn't cost a thing to be nice.
We would not do it at Disney because the monorail would probably be broken. But
Careful of my employer now.
Okay, well, Disney hooked me up with some passes, then
Okay,
we can
careful.
do
The
that.
mouse still
But
signs my check.
that's fair. That's fair. And if you have a pass, then I am down.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple restaurants that I mess with, including Guy Fieri's Chicken Guy, which I've never been to. But I will say we can meet at Culver's.
We can do that too.
Because Culver's is the only place that has every animal. Sorry, vegans, but you can get a chicken sandwich, you can get a burger, or you can get a pork chop sandwich. So
yeah, they got like a little what is it, a short rib or something? They got a pot roast. They
pot
got that.
roast.
Yeah,
They have a Reuben. And shout out to the girl who, when I asked should I have the Reuben, and she just looked like she wanted to cry. So thank you for telling me no. John, you're not on social media, but you have a wonderful podcast. Where can the people find that?
It's just, if you just log on or check any of your basic places that you get podcasts or those things, and just look up Inside Wisconsin, we're there. A guy named Trevor Thomas, who's back in Green Bay holding it down. I have the Connecticut office. You can find it on, you can find hits and misses on YouTube. InsideWiscoShow.com, I believe, is the actual address. But most of the place, as they say now, wherever you get your podcast, you can find it. It's Inside Wisconsin, and it's exactly what the name says it is. It's people from Wisconsin. So if you know what a bubbler is and you dig a brandy old fashioned, we're the spot you need to be.
Brandy Old Fashioned. That sounds that would be a great band.
The Brandy Old Fashioned.
The Brandy Old Fashioned.
Yeah, that's a running joke with the guy I worked with in Oklahoma for a long time, a fellow named John Holcomb. And we always joke when somebody comes up with something like that. I'm like, oh, that was the name of our band in high school. So like Lactic Acid was the name of our band in high school, right? It's just, there's certain words that you're like, that sounds like a great band name.
Lactic Acid is a lifestyle when I look at people run far distances. So listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. You all in the crowd, you know where to find me because I told you before the show started. So be sure to follow, be sure to like, subscribe, support, and we will catch you next time.